Helldivers combat log. Location, Krakatwo, evacuation theater. Name, Zephyr Forge. Call sign, Oh Boy. Operation, redacted, repulsive gravity field support. Date, 27 April 2185. The fires of Operation Sushi Bar were still smoldering in my mind when Photon and I dropped boots first onto the frozen hellscape of Krakatwu. Kraken's absence weighed heavy. Poor bastard caught a shockwave from his own 500-kilogram delivery last op. Without full stim support, medical pulled him from rotation. I can't blame them. Even Kraken's spirit needs time to mend. Photon, however, was back in the fight. A little more singed, maybe, but grinning like a kid at recess with his Helldiver laser cannon at the ready. Tonight's orders were brutal and simple. Evacuate stranded civvies and recover black box data from downed evac birds, all while keeping the Illuminate hordes off our backs. Krakatwo's deathly cold bit through the armor, but it didn't freeze our spirit. Civilians clung to us like lifelines, their gratitude clear even through frostbitten lips. Orbital strikes rained down like judgment itself. The amount of 500-kilogram bombs and lasers we painted onto the enemy harvesters was enough to make the ground quake under our boots. Several collapsed just meters away, close enough to feel the shockwaves in my ribs. Each impact sent shivers through the ice and through my spine alike. We made our mark blitzing an enemy stronghold, hitting their warp ships with precision chaos. Photon leaned out the fast recon vehicle's side like it was second nature, shearing through enemy shields with pinpoint laser blasts. I kept us moving, foot to the floor, and when the shields popped, I lined up shots from my grenade pistol, planting each explosive kiss right where it hurt most. 6 minutes. In and out. 5 warp ships down, a half-dozen Illuminate command nodes severed. Still, as the sun set behind the frozen spires, it was clear Krakatwu would be lost to the enemy swarm. For now, they can claim ice and ashes. They'll never claim our spirit. For Super Earth, forever and always. Helldivers combat log. Location, Mastia. Name, Zephyr Forge. Call sign, Oh Boy. Operation, Blind Torrent. Date, April 29th to April 30th, 2185. High Command's last major order fell just short of success. The repulsive gravity field generator was rushed to activation, unfinished, unstable, but it worked. The Meridian Singularity halted. The Illuminate vanished. We didn't win by the book, but we won. The crater where the RGFG once stood is now a monument. With the Illuminate gone, the enemy's final strikes left several worlds exposed. One of them was Mastia, an arid hellhole under automaton control. Evacuation ops were winding down, and with no active invasion threats, Democracy Officer Lowell reassigned Photon and me to the liberation effort. Kraken stayed behind, still rattled after his close call with the 500-kilogram bomb. We told him to sit this one out. He didn't argue, for once. Mastia welcomed us with gunships and suppressive fire. We hit the ground and called in a fast recon vehicle. It barely lasted to the first ridge. Outnumbered 100 to 1, we used a sandstorm to slip through enemy lines and destroy several automaton facilities. Primary objective complete. We started moving to our next target. We stumbled onto a half-abandoned enemy encampment and took it out with an orbital strike. Among the wreckage, we recovered battle plans indicating an imminent assault on the Center for Civilian Surveillance and Safety. We forwarded the data to High Command. No time to analyze it ourselves. Final objective: destroy 2 orbital cannons that had been turning our super destroyers into scrap. I called in the GR-8 recoilless rifle. The bots had tanks and hulks. I had a bigger stick. A sandstorm rolled in as we reached the second cannon. Visibility dropped, but the enemy's optics didn't care. We got the payload activated. When it went off, it sounded like Liberty herself whispering justice. Extraction was peaceful, if you count picking through burned-out wrecks and dodging the occasional mine peaceful. While defending our evac, Photon called out a 500-kilogram strike. Turns out an old hell bomb was buried in the sand right below us. It blew. We're lucky to be alive. Crawled to the ship with ringing ears and a story to tell. Mastia isn't free yet, but we lit the fuse. For Super Earth. For democracy. We'll bring the rest of it home. Personal journal entry. Zephyr Forge. Date, April 30th, 2185. Lowell called us in today. No alarms, no blaring sirens or quick drops. Just a simple request to report to command. When Photon and I walked into the debriefing chamber, Lowell was already waiting, arms crossed, datapad in hand, half a grin on his face. I've seen the man give death sentences with less ceremony. This time, he looked almost proud. He handed us a sealed file. Said it was classified but that we should see it. Inside was a transcript from High Command. Turns out the battle plans we yanked from that automaton encampment were the real deal. Their timing, routes, assault patterns. Super Earth's analysts picked them apart and dropped a counteroffensive before the enemy even knew we'd read their mail. Gutted half their forward units. Lowell said we altered the trajectory of a planetary campaign. He gave us a bonus. Not much, but enough to know someone noticed. Then, before we could get cocky, he snatched the file back and hit us with our next orders. Said evacuation duty was over. We'd proven we were too damn effective in the field to babysit shuttles. New deployment. Achernar Secundus. Terminid infested. Claustrophobic terrain. Nasty rep. Our job. Help take it back. As we left the briefing room, Photon said something about how he was just starting to enjoy the desert. I didn't answer him right away. Truth is, I'm not sure I ever stopped enjoying the fight. Stopped by the medical outpost today. Photon and I went to check in on Kraken. It still stings a bit seeing him off duty, not geared up and grinning under his visor. Instead, he was sitting on a cot, arm wrapped in a dermoplast cast, neural readouts pulsing gently overhead. That close call on the last evac op rattled him more than he let on. A few meters closer to that 500-kilogram drop, and we'd be hauling ashes instead of making small talk. Kraken tried to play it cool, cracked a joke about the medics being stingier with their morphine than a Super Earth tax agent. But I could see it in his eyes. He hated being grounded. We gave him the update, how the Mastia op went, how the data we recovered helped High Command outmaneuver the Automatons. Told him about the bonus too, which earned a dry chuckle and a muttered, "They better be saving me a back pay stack the size of a hell bomb." Then we dropped the real news. We're being reassigned to the liberation of Achernar Secundus. Heavy Terminid presence, dense terrain, the kind of hellhole Kraken normally thrives in. He sat quiet for a while after that. Then he nodded, said he wanted in, more than anything. Said he was ready. But then he leaned forward, hands resting on his knees, and admitted something I didn't expect to hear from him. He knew that if he didn't get his head straight and his nerves reset, he'd be more of a liability than a weapon. That was big of him. Bigger than any explosion he's ever lit off. We told him to take the time, that he'd know when it was right to come back. And when he does, there'll be a drop pod with his name painted onto it. Until then, we carry on. For him. For all of us. Helldivers combat log. Location, Achernar Secundus. Name, Zephyr Forge. Call sign, Oh Boy. Operation, Second Sunrise. Date, 30th of April 2185. We stepped into the pod pad. Footlocks engaged. Like hundreds of times before, the sky opened, and we fell. First target was a shipping yard, used to send FRVs up to orbit before the bugs overran it. Now it was a breeding pit. Routine op. No resupply needed. Photon wanted to test the exosuit for the night's op, so I stacked up a wall of sentry stratagems while he stomped bug holes flat and peppered the rest with autocannon fire. I paced the perimeter, watching, adjusting lines, holding the field. Then came the march. Across E-710 soaked soil, spores thick in the air, UAV blind. GPS held, but enemy positions were a mystery. We played exterminators, closing nest after nest as we scouted. Every inch felt like a tomb. CF dropships and pelicans rusted in craters. You could feel the ghosts here. Photon spotted the spore spewer through the haze and leveled it. With the air clearing, we caught a broken CF broadcast. ICBM launch unsuccessful. Launch protocol and fuel system. Power insufficient. CF team had to fall back. If we were gonna get that missile airborne, we needed to restore power and input launch codes. We split. Photon tracked the codes while I handled power rerouting. I diverted the grid from the city to the silo and waited for backup to punch in the code. Watched some fresh boot fumble with the terminal too long. Eventually shoved him aside with a rifle butt and did it myself. You want it done right? Do it yourself. Jarvis must have found the code. He came back alone. CF team didn't make it or kept running. Either way, we launched the missile. Gave it a proper salute when it hit. Sounded like freedom. Extraction was calm. I posted up on a high rock, plinking bugs and watching Photon herd cadets like he was born for it. McGraw didn't miss much this time. Starting to think we run into more bugs when he's around. Not because he finds them, but because he krakens open the ground and lets them out, so he can bomb them again. Super Earth stands. The bugs burn. The war goes on. For liberty. For order. For democracy. Galactic War Update. May 1st, 2185. High Command issued formal confirmation. Achernar Secundus has been successfully liberated. The planet's key military fabrication hubs are now under Super Earth control. The Center for Civilian Surveillance and Safety, located on Mastia, remains secure as a result of prior operations. Achernar Secundus is ours again. Factory lines will soon be turning out the tools of democracy. Helldivers combat log. Location, Chlorel Zephyr Forge. Call sign, Oh Boy. Mission, Iron Widow. Date, May 1st, 2185. Kraken was still grounded. Medtech said he needed one more clear physical before suiting up again. He grunted at the news, but the war wasn't hitting pause for anybody. With Achernar Secundus secured, Chlorel was next. High Command marked it critical. Deep core mineral extraction hub, key to sustaining fleet logistics and Helldiver armories. But to reclaim it, we had to carve a path through the Automaton presence, and that meant targeting air dominance. First drop was outside an enemy airbase, standard insert and disrupt op. Photon and I knew the playbook from Mastia. Gunships were always priority one. If they're in the sky, we're in the ground. With support from another Helldiver pair, we executed a split assault across the industrial district. Cities were crawling with hostiles, scout drones, sentries, full recon patrols. Photon and I called eagle strafing runs like it was a menu special. Roasted bots, extra crispy. Reunited with the other squad at dusk, took the fight to a nearby gunship fabricator. Tight corridors, molten scrap, detonated power cores. By the end, there wasn't a drone left with a head. We kept sweeping sector by sector. Hit and shut down 4 assembly lines by the time we lost visual. Nightfall came, and with it, orders to pace ourselves. We couldn't afford recklessness, not with projections looking grim. So we bunked in an abandoned apartment complex, top floor. Photon was already down a floor checking the exits. I told him, I'll take the first watch. Truth is, I couldn't sleep anyway. Sat up by the window, third story. Streetlights flickered weak under the ashen sky. Automaton patrols passed like clockwork, every 10 minutes. Like counting sheep, except these ones were packing railguns and facial scanners. Somewhere between the third and fourth patrol, I must have dozed off. Dreamed of the Singularity Party, just a couple weeks away if we're lucky. Saw myself back on Super Earth, drink in hand, surrounded by Class A ladies with eyes like starlight and ambition to match. Golly boy, I'd definitely be submitting a C-01 when I get back. A man can dream, right? Tomorrow, we move on. More ground to take, more bots to bury. Chlorel may be theirs tonight, but it won't be for long. Let them come. We're still breathing. For Super Earth, for democracy, for the dream. Personal journal entry, May 2nd, 2185. This morning started simple, packing up, tightening straps, doing the mental prep before the next push. City was still quiet, just the burnt smell of steel and silence where bots used to patrol. Photon found some protein packs in the vending machine downstairs. Tasted like glue, but it was something. We were gearing up for the day's op, supposed to hit another node, something important deeper in Chlorel's crust, when Lowell broke in over comms. His voice was calm, but clipped. Access to Chlorel has been blockaded by the Automaton fleet, sending down a Pelican for immediate extract. You boys need to prep for FTL jump, ASAP. Just like that, the plan changed. Again. We'd barely had time to process the last fight, and now we were already moving to the next front. Didn't even get to leave a mark on Chlorel worth remembering. We'd taken out gunships, dismantled factories, made dents, but the enemy was adapting faster than expected. Holding the moon now was beyond our reach, and for once, Command wasn't arguing the point. Dust still clung to our boots when we boarded the Pelican. The cabin rattled on ascent, and we sat in silence, just letting it all settle in. No jokes from Photon this time. No hoorah, just wait. We're rendezvousing with the rest of the fleet now, somewhere along the outer edge of the front. Command's calling it a strategic reposition, but we all know what it really is. Damage control. I don't mind being a moving part. Just wish sometimes the machine gave us a second to breathe. Still, the mission changes, not the purpose. We go where we're needed, and wherever we land next, someone's gonna regret blocking our way. Personal journal entry, Zephyr Forge. May 2nd, 2185. Pre-op 1800 hours. Orders came in hot. We're to deploy to Imber. The brass wants us to re-establish control fast. This scorched, titanium-rich hellscape is key to getting our FTL network back online and mounting a counterstrike against the Automaton blockade. If we lose Imber, we lose momentum. If we take it, we push forward. Photon and I were suited up in the ready bay, combing over topographical scans and stratagem call zones. Then the blast doors opened, and in walked a familiar silhouette.
What the hell, guys? You aren't even gonna debrief me?
Kraken. Back from the bench. Med team cleared him for active duty. Physicals passed, nerves steadied. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat. Guess the war doesn't wait, but neither does he. This drop would be different. Closer to the Automaton heart than any before. We weren't hitting side factories or patrol lanes. We were taking the fight straight to their fortified holdings. Power nexuses, core production lines, command uplinks, The real stuff. They say the average Helldiver lifespan is 2 minutes after drop. We've been proving that math wrong for a long time. Footlocks clamped. Red lights flared. Drop countdown began. We have comms, trust, and firepower, and that's more than enough to raise hell. Combat log, May 2nd, 2185. Location, Imber. Mission, Red Sky Reclaim. Needless to say, we took the Highland base by storm and shredded it beyond recognition. Their tanks were slag, their airships falling stars, and the infantry melted under Photon's heat lance and Kraken's precision ordnance. By the time evac arrived, the smoke had barely cleared, and the base was silent save for the occasional ammo cook-off. With Imber's largest stronghold out of commission, we got lifted back up to the super destroyer for rearm and redeploy. Still had 2 more objectives to knock out before we could call it a day. Did a quick analysis of the next target, a surface-to-orbit cannon array dug into the eastern ridgelines. The terrain was rough, volcanic, and storm-prone. Imber's famous fire tornadoes were already dancing on the horizon. We switched into fire-resistant underlay for our suits and selected anti-air, detection, and heavy ordnance stratagems. Drop 2 wasn't gentle. We hit red dirt and were surrounded instantly. Automaton incineration core, heavily armored units with plasma hose flamethrowers closed in fast. Gunships hovered above like vultures. Democracy Officer Lowell, this is Forge. Boots down, 5 minutes in. Good news, we landed right on top of their skulls.
Base is bigger than expected. 3 tank platoons, 2 airships, already circling, and a Hulk-class stomping this way. Copy that, Kraken.
Oh, I copy, and I'm smiling. Setting up the anti-tank emplacement now. You boys focus on the toasters. And I'll take care of the big boys.
I see their infantry pushing hard from the south slope. Sentries out. Photons already up on the ledge laying down laser fire. These tin cans just keep walking straight into the heat.
1 down! They are scrap metal now. Oh ho ho!
Photon, melt that bastard.
On it.
I peeled off and took out a series of detector towers flanking the ridge. Bought us some stealth, but not for long. Next came the jammers. 2 of them side by side. We got 1 down and tried to call in a hell bomb, but the second jammer kept our signals scrambled. I was out of everything but my grenade pistol, and I had to carve a path through burning brush and scorched steel to reach the uplink. Photon and Kraken gave me cover, laying down everything they had while I accessed the terminal. As soon as the second jammer dropped, it was like opening floodgates. Eagle came screaming in. Orbital strikes, anti-air turrets, and napalm bombs poured down like the voice of Super Earth herself. We leveled the cannon installations before they ever had time to recalibrate. With the sky secure, we pushed north into the hills. Civilians had been spotted pinned down in a fire-blasted valley. En route, we cleared multiple outposts and dismantled an active gunship production yard. We beat the statistic again. Sometimes I think, maybe we're not just Helldivers. Maybe we're fragments of John Helldiver himself. Reborn, recycled, reforged for the age we fight in. And as long as we carry that fire forward, Super Earth can't fall. We'll keep going. Until every last enemy knows the Hardliners, and they learn to fear the destruction that follows it. Combat log, May 3rd to May 4th, 2185. Location, Imber, Operation Damage Control. Ongoing. Mission, battering ram, Imber's still burning. From orbit, it might look like we're winning, and we are, tactically. We've decimated the automaton presence here. Hulks reduced to scrap, patrols scattered, and factories offline. But ground truth feels heavier. For every sector we reclaim, there's another where their forces regroup. We're stretched thin. No two ways about it. The clock's ticking, and that's what really has us worried. We need to finish here, regain full planetary control, re-establish our FTL pathways, and mount a second strike on Chlorel. But the days are slipping by, and Chlorel isn't going to wait for us to catch up. The Automaton blockade won't give us another delay. Super Earth has the numbers, yeah. But the Helldiver Corps doesn't fight in just one place. We're always moving, every sector, every warfront. Democracy doesn't wait for rest, and we don't get luxury like focus. So while Kraken, Photon, and I have been cutting through waves of incinerators and shredding their gunships, we know the next call could pull us off-world again. It's happened before. Might happen again tomorrow. And if we're reassigned before Imber is locked down, we may lose the window to punch through Chlorel's fleet. That FTL lane could be sealed, and everything we bled for on here on Imber may have been for nothing. Still, we don't break. We hit our drops. We take our objectives. We don't ask how many. We just ask where. Because that's who we are. Helldivers. One war at a time. One drop at a time. And we will see Chlorel free. Even if we have to tear it out of the void with our bare hands. Personal journal entry. Zephyr Forge. Date: May 6th, 2185. Chlorel remains under automaton control for now, and squadrons have been stationed there to continue chipping away at their foundation. We made it through Imber and got the FTL path opened back up for transit to Chlorel, but not in time for new orders to come down from the ladder. Not because we hesitated, not because we failed to plan or fought soft. Every damn Helldiver I know bled to hold that moon. We executed with precision, took out air bases, silenced orbital cannons, and scattered automaton patrols like they were scrap in a wind tunnel. But war doesn't always care about how well you fight. Sometimes, the weight just comes down too hard. The Deep Mantle Forge complex is in their hands now. That's our gear they're twisting into weapons. Our raw metals getting stamped into hulls designed to kill our own. I keep thinking about that night, staring through a cracked apartment window, watching patrols pass like clockwork. We were so close to turning the tide. High Command says it's a setback, not a defeat. They think the automatons will stretch themselves too thin, and maybe they will. Overconfidence is a disease machines haven't learned how to code around yet. But while they talk future strategy, I keep hearing the screams echoing from the surface when we pulled out. Civvies caught in crossfire, fellow fighters we couldn't extract. You don't shake that off just because the brass says the next move looks promising. Kraken hasn't said much, just keeps cleaning his sidearm over and over. Photon's been staring at the nav charts like he's already fighting the next op in his head. Me? I wrote my sons this morning. Told them I'd be home when we could see Liberty's light spread across the systems. We didn't lose because we broke. We lost because we're spread too thin, trying to put out fires with a shot glass while half the galaxy burns. But we're still here, and I promise you this, they will be getting that forge back.